Good day, and welcome to another edition of the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I am your host, the voice of reason, and today's coverage of the ongoing civil war taking place inside of the former state of Ethiopia. The fighting continues. The latest information is, in terms of the ongoing conflict, is that the Abiy loyalists continue to apply the Anaconda strategy in hopes of subjugating the Tigray region. We're continuing to see movements of forces of the Abiy loyalists within the area of southern Tigray, mainly south and near the areas of Alamata. It would appear that as they proceed further north, more towards Korum, the level of resistance becomes significant. But we'll talk more about that here in a few. We've received additional information which would indicate that there is now the possibility that the Tigray Defense Forces has received anti-drone equipment. So what does that mean, and how did they obtain said anti-drone equipment? So first, it would appear that the anti-drone equipment that could have made its way into the hands of the Tigrayan Defense Forces is equipment designed to disrupt the data link between the drone and the drone operator who is actually operating and or controlling that drone via satellite uplink, downlink, or through direct line of sight radio communication. And again, normally, in terms of having the ability to take down drones and stop drones from operating in said airspace, that is usually the best way to defeat drones outside of having a fairly sophisticated air defense system with very advanced radars. And then compounding that, the ability to, once those radars identify these drones, then having the ability with either air defense missile systems to then shoot these drones down, or to dispatch multi-role fighter aircraft or other aircraft with weapon systems that could then shoot down said drones. And again, the other means of preventing drone activity over airspace is using the types of systems, the electronic warfare type of systems that can disrupt the link between the actual drone operator and the drone system itself. So again, information trickling in that would indicate that the Tigrayan Defense Forces have been aggressively seeking methods and ways to negate the drone challenge that they have been facing. And again, if we just go back within the last several weeks, in all likelihood, we would see the Tigrayan Defense Forces now operating either inside of Addis Ababa or on the outskirts of Addis Ababa, if not for the use of some very sophisticated drones and other assets. And again, I keep saying that, other assets as well, by the Turkish armed forces, by the armed forces of the United Arab Emirates, and then a technology infusion by the People's Republic of China. So again, we've seen the Abiy regime do a complete rotation, really from Western democracies, and are now really looking towards more of the more or less some of the more despotic regimes on the planet. And again, I know Turkey officially is part of NATO, but let's face it, again, if there was ever a large-scale conflict in which Turkish forces were requested to fight, say, against the Russian Federation, in all likelihood, I would say 99.9% chance, Turkey is not coming to the aid of its agreed to allies in the NATO alliance. And again, I fervently believe that. I do not believe Turkey will engage the Russian Federation or any other hostile actor at this point in time while Erdogan is in power. And again, we have seen that in the past, obviously, as well. But again, right now, Turkey is in NATO only, in name only, and I suspect at a certain point in the not far distant future, we can expect to see a something happen within NATO. Does NATO even still exist 5 years from now? Again, I don't know. But again, just in terms of Turkey, I do not believe Turkey would honor its alliance agreements with other NATO member states, especially when it comes to engagement against Russia. But again, that's that, and that's for another video, obviously. But again, we've seen Abiy Ahmed turn from some of these Western democracies and is now more or less engaging in despotic regimes such as obviously Eritrea, the regime in Addis Ababa, its closest external ally, and some would even say now it's becoming more of an internal ally, given the types of activity we're seeing with the Eritrean army operating inside of the former state of Ethiopia. But again, and that kind of leads me into the next area of operations that we are seeing, and that is in the Afar region. So again, we continue to hear about the deployment of Eritrean forces in the Afar region. It is a very significant and robust force now that is taking place and operating in the Afar region. And what we're also coming to learn is that some of the successes that the Abiy regime was able to achieve in the Afar region was predominantly done by forces of the despotic regime of Eritrea. And those forces continue to operate in the Afar region, and actually the force construct inside of the Afar region has actually increased over the past 90 days in terms of operational forces of the Eritrean army operating inside of the Afar region. Again, we also know that Eritrean forces are also operating in the Afar region as well, and there's also been reports of Eritrean forces supporting Oromia regional paramilitary forces that are loyal to the Abiy regime against the Oromo Liberation Army. So again, we're really seeing the Eritrean army operate throughout the former state of Ethiopia in support of the warlord in chief Abiy Ahmed. And again, that really cannot be argued at this point. There's been enough documentation and evidence to substantiate the deployment of Eritrean forces inside of the former state of Ethiopia, and those forces continue to operate throughout the region as we speak. And again, as we have talked about earlier, the continued movement of Abiy loyalist forces into southern Tigray is occurring. Again, those forces appear to be really focused on going into southern Tigray within the environments of Alamata and operating very close to Alamata. We have not seen a concerted push towards Coram as of yet. Could that change in the near future? Possibly, but again, right now they appear to me, meaning the Abiy loyalist army, again, seems to be consolidating its forces as it continues to move north and reassert its control over areas such as, again, Dese, Kambolcha, Mersa, Weldia, and then farther north towards Kobo. We do know the Tigrayan Defense Forces is still operating to some extent in the Amhara region. Even many months ago, before we had actually seen the invasion of the Amhara region, the punitive invasion of the Amhara region by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, quite possibly, which would have led to the eventual seizure of Addis Ababa. We did see the Tigrayan Defense Forces operating in other parts of the Amhara region even prior to the Abiy forces being evicted from the Tigray region. We would see the Tigrayan Defense Forces, even before that actually occurred, operating near Sakota and some other areas in the Amhara region as well prior to that operation. But again, right now we're really seeing the consolidation of the Abiy forces within the vicinity of Alamata, Kobo. Could they be contemplating an operation further into the Tigray region at some point? Possibly, but right now it more or less looks like they are increasing their anaconda strategy designed to really to starve the population of the Tigray region in hopes that they are going to turn the population of the Tigray region against the Tigrayan Defense Forces and against the main leadership within the Tigray region. Now, that will we see that occur again? Starving out in an entire region of 6 million people is not going to have a good look in terms of international viewpoints. Again, as we have seen the Abiy regime turn away from the West and start its embrace more towards Isaias Afwerki and Eritrea. And again, they're looking more or less to become one of the same. And then obviously the People's Republic of China, Erdogan in Turkey, and then the United Arab Emirates. But that is the current situation. We're continuing to monitor the situation, especially on the possibility of anti-drone devices, electronic warfare devices that could have been entered into the Tigray region. But again, we cannot confirm that as of yet. We do know that was an absolute aggressive goal of the Tigrayan Defense Forces was to obtain some sort of anti-drone technology. And again, even if you are a first-rate world power or supported by a first-rate world power, even negating some of that drone technology is very, very challenging to do. So even if the Tigrayan Defense Forces were to receive this equipment, the question is it effective? Can it be used in a manner that prevents the use of, say, the TB2 drone or the Wingloon 2 drone? Again, we just don't know, and only time will really tell. We do know it's probably going to become less helpful for the Turkish regime to continue to supply these precision-guided munitions to the Abiy regime, given the Western states' opposition towards the deployment of some of these assets into an internal conflict by the government of Turkey. But again, we're going to monitor the situation, and we'll have more and more very, very soon. So stay with us, and we will have a new video shortly. Have a good day, everybody.